The Competitive 40K Network presents Art of War. Art of War. Strategy and tactics. Discussions with the best players on the planet. Now your host, Nick Nanavati.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Art of War 40K podcast. I'm your host, Nick Nanavati, and this week we are joined by the second place champions of the World Team Championship, Malte Hofs from Germany, also known as Wolf, as some may affectionately call him. Wolf, how you doing?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Oh, that's awesome. Happy to have you on the show, and seriously, congratulations to you and Team Germany for an amazing run at the WTC.
Thank you again.
So, listeners, part one of this two-part show is when we're going to get to know this man, the German team, how it works. Kind of similar to what we just did last week with Olivier Weiss in France. We're going to hear from another powerhouse, top contending team, how they prepared for the event, their army compositions, their team composition, how they approach pairings, the choices they made, and all that good stuff. And, of course, we're going to talk about the lessons they learned along the way with hindsight as well. And then in part two for our loving patrons who we love so dearly, that's where we're going to go round by round by round through the World Team Championships. We're going to go through the ups, the downs, the coaching calls, the pairings process, all of the nitty-gritty you love on part two. You can subscribe right now on patreon.com/AOW40K. That gets you access to this episode, over 300 other episodes, the part two from our Champions France from last week, and our amazing Discord server. So if you like competitive Warhammer, you're going to love this podcast. But just check it out. All right, Malte, you ready?
I'm ready.
Tell me about yourself in Germany. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this is your first time captaining Team Germany?
Yes, this is my first time captaining Team Germany. Our traditional captain, head coach, David Defretto, did it most of the time since 2016 or so, or most of the years, or did the parents most of the years. Could not do it this year, so this was the first time I was. It's a little bit complicated, like head coach and then later captain for Germany.
Wow, so kind of some big shoes to fill there. What kind of got you selected for this position? Do you have a lot of experience with the team?
I was coach last year for the first time for Germany. It was more a question of who was left and was willing to do the work more than let's go. We were looking forward to you doing that.
Hey, right place, right time. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, just wrong place. Like we have a lot of super knowledgeable 40K veterans who have played for Team Germany or captain Team Germany for like 20 years or something. And we have a lot of experience. And we had a young team last year, and we had a young team this year. So, yeah, so I think it was just the right time. I was criticizing a lot of our team process of building the team in the last years. Until I got like the call is, okay, you can criticize, but you have to help. So I said, okay, so I'm going to help. And yeah, this year it was just time for me to let's just put this team together.
Nice. So kind of a long time coming where you have been influencing the team from other avenues in the past, and now you have some real captaincy and power to make some stuff happen. So obviously it's
worked nice.
Pretty well for you. Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about what your vision is with Team Germany and what your captaincy has brought in, where you want to take it.
So there were some things that were really important for me that I wanted to change, and I believe that we did successfully change. The first part was we wanted to be a lot more open, a lot more transparent. Germany traditionally plays with itself because it's just the tradition of, okay, we are the best team in the world. We have the best 8 players in the world, of course, because we are Germany. So there's no reason to play with other nations before WTC, because all that can happen is that they steal our secrets.
Yes, right.
I'm not that long in 40. I have not played that long in 40K. I started like 2021 or something. So I mean, it's 4 years, but it's not a long time.
Hey, I've been playing for 22. I hear you.
Yeah, yeah. So it's not that long a time, and I never liked it, and I did not believe that. I believe that some of our most successful players were the guys who played internationally, like Arne, for example, or some others who came from TTS, and playing internationally was just natural for them. And so I wanted to change that to just go outside, where there's not a lot of team tournament culture in Germany yet. It's building at the moment. This is wonderful, but we have like 2024, we had like one big team tournament. So this year we have like three. This is super. This is great. But compare this to France, compare this to Poland, like our neighbors who, especially Poland, who have left. We have a lot less players than France. We have a lot less players than England, the US, etc. We have around the same number of players as Poland, but Poland has a culture of team tournaments. Germany has nothing. You have singles tournaments. You have singles tournaments everywhere. You play with yourself. You don't go internationally. And I wanted to change all that. So I decided that what we want to do this year is we will just go to every team tournament internationally that is willing to take us for 11 months. So
Wow.
this is exactly what we did. So
I love the directional change for your team, embracing the globalization and, getting out of the archaic mindsets that like sharing secrets can only be a bad thing, not that you have anything to learn from sharing with other nations and learning from how they do things. And I think ultimately like breaking through has been a big um turning point in Warhammer culture, like that idea of like sharing information in general is just everybody's growing faster is what's happening. And that's a big undertaking, right? Getting your whole team to shift culture and building teams up in Germany and traveling internationally in Germany. How is that received by your team as like the direction?
to be fair, there was no protest from the team at all.
Wow, that's awesome.
Uh, I mean, in the end, some people were like, "Oh, have we go to Pyro Cup again?" I mean, we went there like 3 times, right? Doesn't matter if we go to Pyro Cup again in July because that's where we can play Poland, which is where we can play England before we went. So there was a little bit of protest because it was really a lot of team tournaments we went to. But the good thing is that like the team last year and this year is mostly new players. So especially this year, super young players who haven't played. Like half of our team has played their first WTC. Our head coach Powell. This was his first WTC. This was my first captaincy. So it was like, it's a super young team. It's super inexperienced. So me telling them, yeah, we will go to a lot of team tournaments where, okay, so we go to a lot of team tournaments in Team Germany. Okay, good to know. So it wasn't a lot of protest against it. And it was just like a year where a lot of the veterans did not have any time to play or could not invest enough time to play for the team.
Right.
Yeah,
That's awesome, though. I'm glad that your kind of team overall just embraced the idea of getting out there and traveling to all these events and really broadening its horizons. And tell me about how that impacted you guys, because as far as I know, Germany has always been this little island that's been very good at Warhammer, but sometimes like off in their own land in terms of what the meta is. Has this broadened your horizons? Has this been helpful to you, you think?
Yes, of course, without a question. It was my last WTC last year, and for instance, we played versus Team England last year, who were is a really a team of 40K superstars, um, and we were completely declassed. And this was not because our players were bad players, but because we were super afraid of playing these international superstars. And because we had never played them before. We had never played them before.
Right. All these
And
huge names.
all these huge names. And now, after a year of playing most of them, like let's say most of them are European, where you're like, oh wait, these guys are human. I don't have to be afraid. If I go into the game, I can just play. I can just concentrate on my own 40k.
Yeah.
So not only new ideas for lists, new ideas for team tournaments, also for me, of course, but also like this idea of, yeah, no, I'm not that bad a player. I'm a really good player. I have played with this famous name. I didn't have a problem with it. So helping them, helping them embrace this, and helping them embrace a winning mentality. Usually, team tournaments are used, especially in Europe, like the Euro Trash Cup or Pyra Cup or Nordics, etc. There are a lot of them. They are used for okay, let's see who can also make it in the team. Let's see who are the new recruits and what they show before we take them to WTC.
Right.
And I decided against that. Instead, I declared that every eight-team tournament we would go to, we would consider it to be a small WTC.
So you're
So-
always bringing your A team at that point.
Always bring our A team, always do our preparation, at least the last 2 weeks. Of course, we cannot do preparation always like WTC, but from November on, we started preparation for Nations Cup as if we would start for WTC. So we concentrated like 3 weeks like hell and did a strange number of games, let's say, for a team preparing for WTC in November 2024. And we always said like, okay, we have like 16 players in our team. The best 8, we believe these are the best 8. These best 8 play the team tournament. We look after the team tournament, who was good, who was not good, who did not reach his numbers. And if he did not reach his numbers, we will take one from the other 8, and he will go into the first team if he did good singles tournaments, team tournaments outside of the Team Germany tournaments, etc. So a lot of pressure on all the 16 players.
How is that affecting in your academy and your players who are trying to get better to make the starting roster, but they aren't given the opportunity, right? Because if you're taking every team tournament as though it's WTC, you're always bringing your A team. You're fielding more or less the same 8 people every time with a little bit of rotation. How does that impact like your 12th best player, your 13th best player, because they're never in the top 8?
It's terrible. It's terrible for the academy. It's terrible for.
I love the transparency.
Yeah, no. It is. So we just decided this year. Okay, we don't need to concentrate on our academy. I have like 12 players here who are 20 somethings who have like, for example, you know the names. You know Niklas Fritschen. You know Tim Schneider, for example. I mean, this has been their first WTC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're basically saying that people can still make it because, you know.
People can still make it.
Yeah,
Whoever, no. I don't want to say people can still make it. Of course, people can still make it. If you're playing good, if you're playing well, you get the chance to get into the team. And if you convince the coaching team and the rest of the players, of course, in the team, you can still make the team. This is not a question. There's always a path. It's just like this traditional idea of, okay, let's help with this team tournament to find other people was not that important to us this year when giving our first team some real experience. We did not have enough experience in 8-man teams. We had 5 people last year for when it was the first time playing 8-man, and we had also this year we had like 4 people who played the first WTC.
Wow. Okay. So
I give you Arndt. You know Arndt. Arndt is
right.
He's like the veteran on this team. He's like 26 or so.
Yeah, right. It's a lot of new blood, which is so interesting because I've grown up with WTC and ETC, which is what it was before and all that. And 10 years ago, 12 years ago, Germany was a powerhouse. They were always on the podium. They were winning the tournament more often than not. And as a player on USA, I always feel like Germany just has got us beat. You know, it's very frustrating. And then, you know, something changed. USA got better. And almost as though Germany got worse as well. What happened with that, if you're familiar?
So this was before my time, of course, because the last time Germany won was 2016, I believe.
Right.
And I believe like the old time, I think there was some kind of crisis in the team. So this team could not stay together because, from my knowledge, some of them got angry at each other. There
Personal
were
issues and whatnot.
personal issues. And when we had just a generation take it up of good players who, try to concentrate on making sure that Germany was known for sportsmanship.
I
So
love
it
that.
was
And I've had nothing but amazing experiences with everyone I played on the German team. I will
yeah,
corroborate
and
that. Yeah.
yeah, and this is also for this generation, this is even more important. We want fairness above all else. Take back sportsmanship, whatever it is. We want to win, but we want to win fair.
Yeah. Awesome. So it's almost like a team rebuilding over time and kind of with new mantras, new morals, new people. And in this light, you're welcoming in globalization and prioritizing fairness and sportsmanship.
Yes.
That's awesome. Love that messaging. I think that's fantastic. Okay, so talk to me a little bit more on the technical Warhammer side. Let's get to that side of things. You've got players like Niklas Friedchen and Tim Schneider, who's their first year playing. Now, these are great players. We've had them on the podcast before to talk about their awesome armies. But one thing these two players do very uniquely is they play their army and they play it supremely well. Tim on Votan, Niklas on Demons. And if I recall correctly, Niklas might have been like the only Shadow Legion army in a tier 1 nation. So it's an off meta choice. And I noticed you also took Drukari, which is a pretty off meta choice on Team Germany. So, what is your process with army composition, team composition, and like letting players be players? How do you value that?
So first things first is I try to define the meta. What will we meet in the meta? And can we answer the potential threats in the meta? So this is like, I believe, like a traditional way to look at it. I have no idea, to be honest. And the thing I always like is I want to have some of my players on lists where I really where I'm familiar with. I'm completely convinced that being familiar with your list, with your faction, having the reputations, having done the work with your list counts a lot more than playing a slightly better faction.
Right.
So on
And
the
is
one
that like a current meta Warhammer type of thing because the game is overall very balanced? Where like just knowledge intimately of your army is worth more than playing the best army?
I so in my opinion, it's more than just a beta. So maybe 11 edition changes something, or I don't know, but I just believe this game is like always so complex sometimes, but it just pays out. Like
Yeah.
even on our level on WTC, it's like okay, so Sam is playing versus Pau, and let's say both of them have like played like 5 games together, Drukari versus GSC. So it just happens. So because you still have so many factions, you need faction specialists on a level, and so every faction specialist who is able to get his points in, of course, cow is for me is just super valuable.
Right. Faction specialist. I totally agree. I mean, like
As
it's
long as he works in the matrix.
yeah, right. That's true. That's true. It's gotta you can't just know very deeply that you're gonna lose. You gotta also back it up with wins.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, how was your process as part of Team Germany for selecting the composition?
So of course we were a Knights meta. So for us it was an easy choice. I believe at day 2, everybody told me, "Yep, Chaos Knights, Imperial Knights, we have to take it. We have to take it." And I was like, "What are the counters?" And they said, "Oh, I don't think there will be that many counters." And I believe at the end of day 3, I counted like 11 lists that were really good into Knights.
Yeah.
So my Knight players, so I was not convinced by Knights, and my Knights players, Knights Express, just convinced me and showed me, yes, there are a lot of counters, but here, this is the points we can bring if we get countered, and this is the points we get if we get our map, if we can play our game, if our opponents give us a counter who he believes counters knight, but doesn't really on this map and in this position. And I was super fast convinced that okay, we go double knights. It helps our idea. We have a really good knights player, Fred Otto, on the team, who hasn't played Chaos Knight for like 2 years. So for us, he was always being our Chaos Knights players. So the moment, okay, we have strong Chaos Knights, we know, okay, Fred will play Imperial Knights or Chaos Knights. We need a second player. I try to build the team, but we have a number of 2 to 3 players that are variable, that are able to play, that are around us, that are able to play. Okay, this is the cool shit. I'm gonna take the cool shit, have fun with it, and who are not faction specialists, who can be faction specialists, of course, but can play a lot of lists. So one of them was Arne, for example. So Arne, who had some really good WTCs on Thousand Suns in the last years. Wasn't allowed to play his Thousand Suns, but now he was our knight player. And I believe we had a little bit of more knowledge about knights than some of the other factions, and that quite helped us in a lot of matchups.
Interesting. So it's not that you thought they were uncounterable, these Chaos Knights and these Imperial Knights. It's that you thought that even with the counters into consideration, it's worth the upside. And it's also, in your expert knight opinion, because you have, like, Fred is an amazing knight player for sure. People compare into Chaos Knights or Imperial Knights thinking that it's a counter, not realizing the variations of the table and whatnot, and how that might impact it. Whereas like the Chaos Knight or Imperial Knight expert could understand that deeper. Yeah.
I mean, Nick, which do you know a good player in his right mind who would play Chaos Knights?
What do you mean?
It's like you never. It's in my opinion, it's super. Sorry, on to all the Chaos Knights and Imperial Knights, the players out there, but I know a really good number of good 40k players who get really bored playing Imperial Knights and Chaos Knights
absolutely.
super fast.
I don't play that army because, like, exactly what you just said, it's 3 data sheets, it's two models functionally. Like, it's just not for me.
Yes, it's the same for me, and it's the same for a lot of other players. But the result is that a lot of really, really good players usually have played versus solid to good Chaos Knights players.
Decent
versus
Chaos
solid
Knight
to
players.
good.
Right.
I'm sorry?
It's a decent, right. Solid to
decent.
good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, no. Good. So, this was like we said, okay, yeah, it's super hard for them to find a Knights player, to find a Chaos Knights player who is on the level with our Chaos Knights players. So this is like, okay, we have a faction specialist for it. This is the meta, we have to take it. We cannot go the route that we guessed what other tier 1 nations like yourself, like France do, and just go the counter route way. But we said, okay, we will embrace the meta. We believe we have our specialists on them, and they will get us points.
Yeah. It's also partly because you have those specialists, right? Like Chaos Knights were something you were going to bring if they were off meta, and then the fact that they are meta, why wouldn't you bring them, of course? Now, with hindsight, obviously you got second, it worked out very well, but also France and America got first and third, respectively, with nothing but knight counters and no knights in sight. Do you think this was a liability for you, bringing knights?
No, not at all.
No, not at all. Okay.
No, not at all. And even if you look at the points, and I mean, we lost versus the US, so of course it's the system, and yeah, we ended up on second and you ended up on third, but we know what the game state was. But even in this game, if you look at it, you will see that even with like your list tailored to counter knights, you weren't really able to counter knights.
Right. Yeah, the only like solid this is gonna work counter we had was our Eldar. Everything else had a shaky approach.
Yeah, and it worked. It did not work with the World Eaters into Chaos Knights and Imperial Knights versus Volker with his Chaos Cults. Yeah, with his Chaos Cults was like, oh, okay, we can talk about that later. Sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Well, that's part two. Yeah. So, all right. So you've got these Chaos Knights and you've got Imperial Knights. And one thing is interesting is you put Arne on Imperial Knights, because he, as you said, is their Thousand Sons player. And I know Arna as a player decently well. He's a very technically gifted player. He's very good at Warhammer. So, when I think of Imperial Knights, and I'm sorry, Imperial Knight players, I think of like a compared to like Thousand Sons, for example, or Emperor's Children, armies I know he's played in the past. They're not as complicated. They're relatively less skill ceiling expression that you can imply. So, and this is part of our own reasoning, right? We didn't put John on Chaos Knights despite us recognizing they were really good because John is too good for Chaos Knights. Like it's such a waste of talent. So was that not a consideration for you with Arna?
Yes, it was not a consideration. We just decided we're going to waste your talent because we see this is strong and it's our belief that I wouldn't criticize the decision. If I would have been captain for USA, I would have put John on Knights.
Yeah.
Simple as that. Too strong. Yes, they are not that complicated. Yes, the player like Arne was so happy that WTC was finally over and he was no longer had to play Knights.
Right.
You can't believe how happy he was about that.
Right.
But he's a super strong player. This is a super strong faction. He was, to be fair, he was one of our designated players before the event or before the preparation for the event, where we said, okay, you might have to switch armies in the last minute if something comes up. Imperial Knights came up, so he had to switch.
No, I can appreciate the gumption and not looking back about it. You can always look at it like, what are you leaving on the table? But sometimes it's better just to make a decision and stick to it, right?
Yeah. And I think it was good for us, but some of our best players were on our Knights.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely worked out. Like Fred is a great example of someone who is very good with Knights and gets amazing results with Knights. You wouldn't expect that of anyone else. What do you think that is, if you could speak to that? Like, where is the skill expression with Chaos Knights or Imperial Knights?
So it's positioning. It's really a question of positioning, and this can be so important with Knights, with the combination of towering, the movement, the angles you can get or cannot get, and if you have seen, like, usually it's like, okay, let's play versus this Chaos Knights player, okay, whereas a Helverin running somewhere around, okay, we're gonna kill that, so he's down at least one small guy. Let's see what we will see in the next round. The threat you usually, or at least normally, you don't get the Helverin because you cannot see the Helverin, because the Helverin stays in a really good position where he can still threaten the board, can still contacts. Can still walk onto the marker, can still do something. So it's all about him having a movement phase where he's really making sure, okay, this is the angles. Here I need to be in the next turn. Here I need to be in 2 turns from now with this knight here, this knight here. So this is all about visualizing where do I want my knights to be in 2 rounds, maybe in 3 rounds.
Right.
So
it's the same like high level Warhammer skills, just every positioning on each individual model matters so much more. Yeah.
Yes.
I gotcha.
So I think this is like one of the advantages we had here.
Yeah. And I do think so too. You had some of the highest scoring Knight players of the event, and they were, as you said, getting countered in some of their games and still putting up huge scores, which is amazing. If you are listening to this, it probably means you play Warhammer 40k. And if you're playing Warhammer, you know you need a lot of dice. Baron of Dice is where we get our dice from. They produce amazing different kinds of dice. We just recently got all kinds of different faction dice shipped to us, which we use on our stream games. But not only do they look really cool, but they're highly customizable. You can get different symbols, corners that are square, corners that are round, different shapes and sizes, different sided dice. It's all the rage. And they're customizable in color and design as well. They are so cool looking. Not only that, but they feel great to roll in your hands. I've never held dice that roll and feel this good. Not only that, but they are scientifically perfectly balanced. There are tons of case studies on people rolling thousands of dice and recording all the results that they get. And sometimes you might get a die that rolls just a few too many ones. We've all had to throw it out before. These dice are not like that. They are perfectly balanced to a T, thousands of rolls, perfect distribution. If you want to take your Warhammer game seriously and make sure the dice are not screwing you over, get some Baron of Dice dice. Overall, though, what was your plan to combat opposing knights? Because of course you assume the other good teams are bringing Chaos Knights, Imperial Knights themselves, and I look at things like Shadow Legion demons and Drakari, and is this what it takes to? Do they have what it takes to fight knights? What's your thought there?
I don't think Shadow Legion. I think we tested it out enough. Shadow Legion can have a good matchup into knights, but usually it just doesn't. So for us, it was really simple because we went to the team tournaments and we tested out like, okay, this player had good showing in the second team, in the boot camp, in the scrims, in the national team tournaments. Let's test him out on the first team, and this was Pau Pönsken, our Drukari player, and we said, okay, he did what we wanted to, so he's on the first team. We bring him to the team tournament. No one, not Paul, nor myself, nobody in the coaching team really trusts Drukari. We don't think that Drukari will do anything.
We were all like, "What is this Drakari army?"
We don't think it will work out. We have a really good young Eldari player on the team who is rocking our team tournaments. Everything that is good into Eldari will be good into Drukari. And then we're like looking at the matrix, and we're like, okay, wait a second. So we can do this, and we can do that, and we can just use Drukari and Eldari and whatever version of mechanized lists they throw against us. This is even before the Knights Matter. So we decided on Drukari even before the Knights Matter, and Knights Matter just helped us a lot with our decision to really put this through. It's like, okay, they cannot put vehicles in front. So the usual team tournament approach from, I will start my 8-man team tournament with my shooty army with tanks on this open table will just not work. They will get killed.
Right. So, I mean, that's very true. And there's something to be said about taking plan A of the first defender guns and just saying that doesn't work for you. Try something else. And we experienced that, right? Like we have a Death Guard army as Mortarian's hammer on America. And, we didn't first defend with it against you because it would just get countered. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, Mortarian's hammer is not that bad, especially with Flickburst crawlers, but
right.
Yeah. But still, in the concept did work out. It did work out before WTC at Para Cup and also worked really good at WTC. So the thing we had to do was just we had to build the lists and trust our players, our Drukari player and our Eldari player. But if we didn't get picked as attacker and ended up later in the Matrix versus a team that was versus a faction that was supposed to maybe counter them, but they are still able to get some points in. So this is all we needed from them, because we could just approach this with, okay, we're gonna counter, we're mechanized, we get more points with our knights than their knights. We trust like our midfields, our I don't know what you're using for that, our guys who can play attacker and defender, and in the end, it should work out usually.
Yeah, that makes sense. Basically, it finds itself into a playable game, even if it doesn't land the tank matchup where it can just haywire its opponent off the board.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, often the reaction is just like, okay, we cannot put our knights up because there's Eldari and Drukari, so let's keep our knights back. And then in the end, the knights end up, or mechanized list, whatever version you want to, ends up later on much worse tables. The tables are just much worse for knights if they don't have to pick for the tables, if the open tables or closed tables, whatever you want to, are gone. And there's still a possibility that in Refused or Champions matchup, you still end up in the Drukari versus Knights match and the Eldari versus Knights match.
Right, you still trap them later on because you just keep those armies available while there's knights available, and then it just happens. That makes sense. It's a nice trap you set up there. So then the rest of your team, you have Space Wolves, you have Votann, you have your own Death Guard. What are these armies doing for you?
Nothing. Exactly nothing. The aim always was here to, if we can get them a good table, they can get a good table, and they should have the potential to destroy the enemy. So potential. But usually we are completely happy with you getting 8 to 12 points. That's completely fine. Tim, so the Votann is a little bit, we often used him as a second defender or third defender to just give him the table, because we know, okay, Tim with his super aggressive style, if he gets first turn, first drop, this is just like, this game is over. We don't have to think about this anymore. But usually players like Grisha, like Live, like Niklas, they were, so Live, if he was not picked as an attacker, of course, Christian with Death Guard, they were just thrown into some of the matchups. We tried, of course, to get them good matchup, but usually they didn't have a table, and we were just saying, okay, go out there, get some points in. Get
That's
your 10 points.
fascinating. And I love how you're like at the surface level, just nothing. They honestly are here to just be armies because you need to bring 8 armies, and they're not going to be liabilities for us. They're not here to actually provide much value. That's an interesting way to look at it. Is that because they have a pretty wide matchup spread and can play basically anything decently well, like good singles armies?
Yes, correct. And we wanted them to be able to do exactly that. So the mission for most of them was exactly that. Bring an army you can play everything with, or most of the times play a lot of armies, and whatever you do, you can play with to a 10-10.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. We have the similar types of armies and players and stuff. Now, do you align that to player personality? Some players are naturally more aggressive, get those higher scoring wins, and take the more aggressive lines, whereas some players play more passively and get those closer games. Do you try to put the more passive players on the blunting factions and the more aggressive players on the big important Chaos Knight factions?
No, not at all. I'm a big fan of using as many aggressive players as I can find, and I don't have one. No, I don't think I have one really passive player in the whole team, and this is like I try to explain. We are able to get a 10-10 in, but most of the times I have questions from the beginning, from turn 1. Can I push? And usually, looking at the context of the game, we allow them to push, not because it makes sense for the team, but because it makes sense for their game. Because they are aggressive players, and they are able to play a better game if they play aggressive. So every of these 4 lists we talked about in the midfield, but is not part of the bigger plan, but is able to get a 10-10, has the potential to push and get high points for us, if it works. And if it doesn't work, we still trust the players because they are really good players who know perfectly well what the lists do, like Niklas, and then it will be like a 640. And we lost like 4 points, but the potential was there to get like 6-7 points plus.
Yeah. So you, as a general philosophy, you think for teams play, just having a more aggressive mindset is generally just better because it has more upside.
Yes, I know. People like, and we also have players who we tested out who exactly do that. You throw them in any matchup, they get you a 10-10. This is and we could have taken these also to the WTC. We decided against it. We instead took these 8 guys, where, like, to be honest, in the first 2 turns, like 7 of them in every round ask us, "Can I push?"
Yeah, and that's just that's a coaching style question, right? Like, can you push in that moment? It's a team round thing, but your players want to push, so you want to let them push.
Yes, and they just work better if they're able to play aggressive. So they are also disciplined. They also can play on their points, etc., etc. We trained that a lot, and it works. So
yes,
yes, we trained it a lot. So that's the reason it kind of works. But I mean, like, Germany is a small 40k community compared to a lot of other nations. So we have a good team. We have a really talented team, but our pool of players is not that strong. Not strong. Sorry, not that deep.
Not that deep. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So if we have really good players, we take them, we use them, and we try to say, okay, what's your what is it that makes your game good? What makes you play strong? And we try to bring this into the team and to strengthen it in the context of the team.
Yeah. Let the players be players, as I like to say.
Let the players be players.
That's a great way to phrase it. And it's obviously served you super well this year in Germany. I think it's a great way to run a team in general. It's very similar to how I captain Art of War and what we strive for with Team America. So I'm with you. In that case, all your team composition choices make sense with respect to what your players are doing and how they're being used. Was there any army you, with hindsight, wish you had brought instead, or any army that you regret bringing, if not the player?
We regret bringing Death Guard a little bit.
Really?
Not completely, but a little bit, just because we have a vehicle-heavy list, and our game plan usually worked, because we're countering knights, or we put them into something else. But sometimes a lot of the knight counters were also really good into Death Guard, and our Death Guard player was in trouble sometimes because he did not get the maps he needed to get, and we couldn't get him the maps he needed to get, and he ended up in some of the knights counters, where he just
Right.
had not bad matchups. So in hindsight, maybe Thousand Suns instead of Death Guard.
That's so interesting,
But
especially because
but
conventional
this,
wisdom would tell you Death Guard is one of the top armies in the game. Of course, you're bringing Death Guard, right? And then you're
yeah, he was one of our best players the whole year, and he was super on Death Guard. And we saw it we tested it on Pyro Cup, so good team tournament in Poland before WTC, and it was kind of, yeah, we see it, maybe we might get in trouble with Death Guard, but in the last rounds he just had two matches, I believe, and on the last two, where he just destroyed everybody, so we were like, oh, okay, no. We are still taking Death Guard. It's still the best faction in the game. Looking at similes, why wouldn't we not take Death Guard? And
yeah.
yeah, was just the wrong choice from our side.
I mean, that's the team's meta, Like some of the obvious choices, like Death Guard, just don't seem to work out. I get you.
Yeah.
Overall, though, your team did fantastically well, and you guys should be very proud. Not nice rebuilding of Germany, I will say, very awesome. Where do you guys go from here?
From here, it will be a lot harder because the last year we have thrown a lot of time into this, a
Yeah, I
lot
can
of time,
imagine. Mhm.
and I really believe that in July we were one of the best teams, one of the favorites to win the tournament. So the moments the list came on, but our preparation this year, from we see the list to the tournament, I believe was not as good as for some other nations, and this has a lot of reasons, but one of the reasons that is from my side the most important is that we don't have the player pool to test some of the lists out against players on a level we would need to play against them.
Right. So basically, like, you can't play against France's guard list because who's going to play it for you,
Yeah,
for
and
example? Yeah.
then if you by some wonder you have this one Astra Militarum player who might be a veteran from other times, maybe he's not willing. Maybe he's not willing to come to the boot camp and to support the team, and then
Right.
there's just nobody left. So
Right.
this is of course a big problem, and
Have you considered opening up in some sort of alliance fashion with another tier one nation?
yes, of course. I mean, it's no secret that we tried an alliance some part of this year, at least.
Right.
So yeah, we're thinking about doing something like that again, and I believe we might need another tier one nation for that. Yes.
Yeah, no, I know France had mentioned they aligned with Sweden, and that was a big
Yeah.
part of their success in this past WTC. So definitely
Yeah.
something that I think is going to become more commonplace amongst the top teams for sure.
And to be honest, I believe that if we I still think that our alliance might have helped us in the last months if we both of our teams had straight stayed true to the
Yeah,
course,
right.
and
If we
maybe
tried
we're
it.
not completely killed by nobody able to play the other team because of the time zone shift. But
Yeah,
well,
right, for sure. I mean, lessons for next year, right?
lessons for next year.
Awesome. Speaking of which, any other lessons you think you could take away from this year that you want to apply for next year?
I think we want to stay the course. To be honest, we want to try to keep a team together. There has been a lot of different teams in the last years, so let's try some consistency.
Yeah, I think that would serve you guys very well, and obviously it's worked so far. Second place is an amazing finish, and you guys should be very proud of that. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, getting to know about how you've helped pioneer the direction of Team Germany and overall how you run the ship. In part 2 of this conversation, we're going to cover what that looks like round by round by round at the World Team Championships, reviewing all the different rounds that Germany played. Listeners, you can subscribe right now on patreon.com/AOW40K and get this episode along with 300 plus other episodes. Until then, we will see you next time.
Like what you just listened to? Check out Art of War Down Under and Art of War Unbroken on the competitive 40K network. TheArtofWar40K.com.